The last time you walked out of a tire shop, you got played, and the crazy part is, it wasn't the tires they got you on. This is how tire shops actually make their money, and here's the twist. It has almost nothing to do with selling tires. A typical tire shop pulls in anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000 a month in revenue. But when you look at where the real profit comes from, the actual tires on the rack are one of the least profitable things in the building. The highest margins in a tire shop come from services you probably didn't even think about when you pulled into the parking lot. Let me break this down for you. When you walk into a tire shop, tires account for about 50 to 60% of total revenue. That sounds like it should be the main profit driver, right? But here's where it gets interesting. According to data from Tire Review, the highest gross profit margin in a tire dealership comes from retail service work at 49%. The second highest is retail service parts at 47%. Actual retail tire sales sit down at 40%. Once you factor in competitive price matching, the realized margin on a tire sale can shrink to 10% or less. Think about that for a second. A standard passenger tire that costs the shop around $85 might retail for $110 to $120. That's a gross margin of maybe 23 to 29% per unit. But if a competitor across the street drops their price by $25 and the shop has to match it, that margin evaporates almost instantly. This happens all the time when competing against major retailers like Costco Tire Center, which leverages volume purchasing power to undercut traditional tire shops. So if tires aren't the real moneymaker, what is? Let's start with the single most profitable item a tire shop sells: the road hazard warranty. These warranties carry profit margins exceeding 90%. The reason is simple math. Most tires sold with a road hazard warranty never face a claim. You're paying $100 or more across 4 tires to protect yourself against a repair that would cost $25 to $50 if it ever happens. As the Washington Consumer's Checkbook put it, what you're really being offered is insurance that's highly profitable for the seller, but provides little benefit to the buyer. The shops know this, but customers mostly don't. Next up, wheel alignments. This is what industry insiders call a great profit center. A standard 4-wheel alignment gets priced at about $150. The direct cost of goods sold is essentially zero. You're not replacing parts. You're not using consumable materials. The primary expense is technician time, roughly $45 for 1 hour of skilled labor. That gives you a contribution margin approaching 75%. As Tire Review noted, after labor and initial equipment costs, alignment revenue goes almost directly to the bottom line. It's not like oil changes where you're paying for new oil every time. And here's where it gets even more profitable. Modern vehicles often require ADAS calibration after alignments, which shops charge an additional $100 to $200 for 20 minutes of computer work. Then there's tire rotations. A shop charges $20 to $40 for this service with profit margins between 50 and 70%. It takes minutes, and more importantly, it gets the customer back into the shop between tire purchases. Because here's the thing about tires. Most drivers only buy them once every 60 to 70,000 miles. That could be years between purchases. But the rotations, the alignments, the inspections in between keep customers coming back year after year. Now let's talk about the installation fees. When you buy 4 new tires, you're not just paying for the rubber. A standard installation package including mounting, balancing, and new valve stems runs $25 to $35 per tire. That's up to $140 on top of your tire purchase. And the labor margins on these services often exceed 60%. And then there are the fees most people don't even notice until checkout. The Consumer Federation of America put it bluntly: walking into a tire store expecting a simple $400 tire change can lead to a $700 checkout shock. Environmental disposal fees, state tire recycling charges, shop supply fees, these hidden costs typically add 15 to 25% to your total bill. Here's one of my favorites: nitrogen tire inflation. Some shops charge up to $200 to fill your tires with nitrogen instead of regular air. Regular air is already 78% nitrogen. You're paying a premium for that extra 17 to 21% purity. Critics call it one of the biggest scams ever devised by car dealers. Supporters point out that 80% of people don't properly check their tire pressure, and nitrogen does lose pressure more slowly. But the profit margin on filling a tire with a different gas? Astronomical. There's also brilliant pricing psychology at work behind the counter. Industry coaches teach something called the scaled markup strategy. Your least expensive parts get the highest percentage markup. A $5 oil filter gets marked up 100% to $10 and nobody blinks. But a $300 shock absorber gets a more modest markup because customers would revolt at $600. And there's the rule of 25 for upselling. Keep add-on recommendations under 25% of the original purchase price. If someone's spending $400 on tires, suggest up to $100 in additional services. It feels reasonable and doesn't trigger buyer resistance. Oil changes deserve special mention because they're a textbook loss leader. Margins are only 20 to 40%, which is low for this industry. But they're quick, the materials are cheap, and here's the real value. While the car's up on the lift, the technician inspects everything. Worn brake pads, leaking fluids, suspension issues. That 15-minute oil change is actually a sales opportunity for hundreds of dollars in high-margin repair work. And manufacturers are paying dealers too. Major tire manufacturers like Bridgestone, Michelin, and Goodyear offer rebate programs where dealers earn $4 to $10 per tire in cash rewards paid quarterly. That adds up to serious money that never shows up on your receipt. According to the Tire Industry Association, these manufacturer incentives can add up to 6 figures annually for high-volume dealers. Now zoom out to the big picture. The U.S. tire market is expected to reach over $56 billion in 2025. According to industry reports, the aftermarket segment, which includes independent tire shops, led the market with 63% of revenue share in 2024. This is an enormous industry, and it's growing, but it's also evolving. Online tire retailers are gaining market share by pairing competitive prices with mobile installation that comes to your driveway. Electric vehicles are creating demand for specialized tires that handle heavier loads and deliver low rolling resistance. These EV-specific tires often carry premium pricing with margins 20 to 30% higher than conventional tires. And raw material costs are squeezing margins, with natural rubber prices jumping a third in 2024 alone due to supply disruptions in Southeast Asia. The smartest tire shops are responding by diversifying. Discount Tire, the company Bruce Hall started with a $400 loan in 1960, now operates over 1,200 locations and pulled in $9.7 billion in revenue in 2024 per Forbes. They've expanded into alignments, brake services, oil changes, and battery services. They acquired Tire Rack to build out their online presence. Regional chains like Les Schwab Tire Centers have built similar full-service models across the Pacific Northwest. They're not just a tire shop anymore. They're a full-service vehicle maintenance ecosystem. And that's really the lesson here. A tire shop that only sells tires is leaving most of its potential profit on the table. The rubber on the rack gets customers through the door, but it's the alignments, the warranties, the rotations, the labor fees, and the upsells that actually pay the bills. The next time you walk into a tire shop, remember, you're not the customer for the tires. You're the customer for everything that comes after. Now you know how tire shops make their money, but which one is actually ripping you off the most? I compared Costco, Discount Tire, and the dealership head-to-head, so you don't have to. That video is right here, and the answer genuinely surprised me.